Okay, we're going to work on making the transparency for our second layer now. So if this is my first layer of my print, and I'm ready to add a second color to it now. You know, the idea here is that this was my very first transparency, right? Which if I line it all up and using the registration marks, I can actually do that and I make sure it all looks good. I know that it printed really well actually, and that all the marks came through and they just printed in gray instead of in black up here. But so I kind of know what's transferred over. So if I want, what I can do now is I can take my second piece of transparency. This would be layer 2, and I'm a big fan of labeling. So I like to go like, I like to put an arrow up. I like to go, layer 2, so I know if I know what color it's going to be in. I'll label that on here as well, just so I know what's going on. It's easy for me to get confused. And what you want to do is you want to take, again, our friend masking tape here, and we want to just tape everything down so it doesn't move around on us. So I'm just going to add a couple of pieces of tape here just to help me see what I'm working on. And I can also put this on a light table if I need a little extra light through the back, and that'll help me figure out what's what. So now all I have to do is I have to imagine, okay, my first layer is in gray. I can pick this up and look underneath it if I need to. And then where do I want blue to land on this? Like, where do I want the blue to hit? And so it's really important that the first thing that you do before you do anything else is you transfer your registration marks. So using a really fine tip Sharpie usually works better than a pencil. But just transfer those registration marks over as precisely and exactly as you can, so that you get 4 crosshairs lined up where your color is going to hit. And this will really make your life easier when you go to print your second color. You could also, of course, do all this stuff digitally, but that's a little bit more advanced for another class period next time. But the idea is that we have 4 registration marks and 4 corners that help us kind of get all this stuff lined up. So that's the first thing, is make sure your registration marks are there. And then our job is just to add opaque black marks wherever we want the blue to land. So you just have to imagine, okay, I'm going to put blue. Let's say I want to make this bat blue. So I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to use a really thick Sharpie, and just wherever I'm making marks right now, that's going to end up being a blue color. So if I want to, if I want to cross hatch some things in there, I can do that. If I want to add different kinds of marks, I can do that. I can use different kinds of Sharpies. So if I want to, get a little bit more precise, I can use this kind, or the really fine, the fine tip kind. Another good technique is to take India ink. And, if you want, you can actually just kind of brush it on there. And India ink is great. It goes on really thick. It's really, really opaque. And it's a really nice way to add marks. You can paint it on there. You can stamp it on. You can also take your, one of these traditional pen nibs. And if you want to add in some sort of detailed areas, like you can just cross hatch little marks on here. Micron pens work pretty well too, but the trick is just that whatever you add, whatever colors you add now, whatever marks you put on this are going to have to be really, really opaque. If they're not opaque enough, your colors are going to end up being problematic, and so your stencil isn't going to mark out that area, and you're not going to be able to, it's not going to blow out correctly. You're not going to actually be able to see it. So yeah, again, I can lift this up anytime and sort of check and see, okay, this is where my marks are, and then drop it back down, see what's going on. So the idea is that this is all going to print in blue. Wherever I'm making marks now are going to be blue. So I'll work on this for a while, come back and we'll print it and register over the second layer, and we'll see how that all works.